When I, 30F, say our bathroom or our house etc., my husband, 30M, always has to point out that it's his house etc. He'll stop me and say, my house, and when I get upset he goes, it's my house, but since I'm yours, you get to live in it, or something similar. It makes me feel so crappy when he does that. He sorta does it jokingly, but it happens without fail almost every time, and I've tried to tell him it's hurtful and he just laughs and says he's kidding. For context, he bought a house last year right before we got married. I was part of the entire process since we already lived together, but he put his savings into the down payment and it was his name on everything for obvious reasons. I had recently spent the last of my savings to pay off student loans and was only doing freelance remote work, so I wasn't really bringing in much money and was trying to focus on my mental health. He has a really good paying job and always said he was happy to support me. I've even talked about getting a job in my field again if that would make him happy, and he assured me I don't need to. Cool. But now it just feels like, because his money is what buys mostly everything, that I'm some mooch just living off of him. Mind you, I'm pregnant with our first kid due very soon. This was all discussed extensively, that I was to be a stay-at-home mother. So why does he feel the need to hurt me like that? Does he secretly wish I was working and bringing home more money? Does he think I'm pathetic? It makes me feel like I'm a effing roommate who hasn't paid rent and he's doing me a favor. And another thing that confuses me is if my parents/relatives ever want to give us anything, like a wedding or baby shower gift, he gets annoyed because he wants to be the one to buy that stuff for us and doesn't want to rely on other people. Edit. To answer and address some common questions. There was no prenup and no mention of wanting to keep assets split after marriage. We have a joint bank account and I also maintain my old accounts under just my name. Some people suggested he just wants to feel appreciated. I know that's not the case because 1. He explicitly hates being thanked. He says it makes him feel like he's doing it just for the praise and that makes him feel crappy. 2. I find ways of showing my appreciation by cooking, cleaning, managing everything in the home, taking care of him, etc. I don't want to portray him as some controlling a-hole who doesn't let me do things. It's tough to paint an accurate picture since I don't want to give out my entire relationship story on Reddit. I have freedom to do whatever I want and he is supportive. It's just little things like this that make me question his deeper feelings, even though any time it comes up he reassures me he is happy to support me and doesn't think I'm any less than he is. I want to be a stay-at-home mother, I don't want to put my child in daycare. He and I both feel that way. The possibility of remote work is still there too if I feel I can balance both, but I think the deeper issue lies in our communication, and that's on me too. After taking into consideration the comments and different perspectives here, I am going to address him tomorrow. Today was bad because he worked late and was exhausted, and try to be as open about how I feel as I can. I'll update here when I do. Thanks to everyone who felt the need to help. I do feel very validated in my concern at the very least. Update, when I, 30F, say our bathroom or our house etc., my husband, 30M, always has to point out that it's his house etc. Thanks to everyone who commented, I was honestly shocked that it got so much attention and that so many people felt compelled to help. I ended up talking to him a few nights ago, after I got all my thoughts down on paper and felt emotionally ready to talk about it. I said, when you point out that it's your house or that you paid for this and that, it makes me feel like I'm an unwanted guest in your house. I've told you how this makes me feel, but you still do it, which makes me feel like this isn't just a joke like you claim. I want to feel like an equal partner in our relationship, especially since we will be bringing our child into the world so soon. When we were engaged, we were both so excited to go house hunting together and make it our home for us and our future kids. You told me you were more than happy to continue working so that I could stay home to take care of the house and kids and dogs, but lately it feels like you resent me for it. Now that I'm bringing our child into the world, I want to make sure there's no hostility or resentment between us. And I want to hear your side because currently, I just feel hurt and I'm worried this will keep building if I don't address it now. If me going back to work and contributing to the mortgage is what you want, despite what you said to me a year ago, then let's talk about it. So I read that to him and he immediately said that he never meant anything by it and it was stupid and immature of him and that he'd work on it. He didn't realize it hurt me so much. After talking it through a little, he said he thinks it might stem from growing up poor and finally building a comfortable life for himself. He agreed it probably has to also be an ego thing, and maybe stems from the fact that his dad couldn't take care of their family and his mom had to work 2 to 3 jobs. He said he wants me to feel like an equal partner and wants me to feel at home in our house. I also asked about putting my name on the deed and he said he would. I do think he means what he says, but I also need him to prove it with his actions/words for me to truly feel comfortable. But we're moving in the right direction and I'm glad I was able to express that to him. Thanks again for all the advice. Update 2. When I, 30F, say our bathroom or our house etc., my husband, 30M, always has to point out that it's his house etc. I'm shaking and crying as I write this. I now understand all the red flag comments on my last posts. I didn't see it. I trusted him. I'm so effing stupid. Here's what happened. He went on a work trip this week and promised we would sort the house deed stuff when he comes back. His apology sounded genuine and I believed him as much as I could without the proof yet. Today I just had a weird feeling in my body. His texts about work have been really update why, like constantly telling me what he's doing or where he's going. I didn't think anything of it until earlier, when he said he was taking a nap and wouldn't be on his phone for a few hours. This is weird because the man despises naps, they F up his sleep and he feels like crap after. So I checked his Google Play account from our home PC. His Google account is always logged in. He probably doesn't know I know this, but I can see what apps he has or recently had installed on his phone. Why this is important: when we were dating, he had a severe sexting addiction. We broke up because of it. I had suspicions and caught him. But we ended up getting back together after he swore up and down it had stopped and even gave me permission to look at his phone whenever I wanted. I eventually stopped checking because I trusted him. A few years have passed and we're obviously now married with a baby on the way, and I've trusted him. Our intimacy has basically died since I got pregnant, but I blamed that more on myself than him because I just don't feel in the mood or sexy. He never tried anything, so I didn't have to reject him. It was just like he felt it too, I guess. I thought that was normal. So anyways, I looked at his account and saw that he had all the apps he used to use for sexting installed and recently used on his phone. Snapchat, Telegram, WhatsApp, Instagram, Tumblr. But the worst one, the one that broke my heart seeing, is that he has Tinder installed. Does that mean his work trips he's actually effing people? He's had a lot of work trips the past 2 months since he won't be able to travel for a while when baby arrives. I'm devastated and angry and I feel so stupid that I was making excuses for him and trying to paint him in a better light when everyone was telling me to run. Now I don't know what to do. I want to call him and tell him I know, but the only evidence I had is screenshots from the Google Play website showing they were installed and recently used. I want to get real evidence because I know he'll uninstall everything before he's back. Part of me wants to just leave and go to my parents' house 4 hours away with the pictures printed out for him to find when he gets back. But I don't think that will solve anything. Help! Next story. My husband, 33M, is shocked that people find me, 31F, attractive. My husband, 33M, found out that a good number of men and women consider me, 31F, very attractive. Not to toot my own horn, but I put a lot of effort into my appearance. Naturally, I'm pretty average, but with all the effort I put in, a lot of people find me beautiful. My husband recently found that out and he's really confused. He's been watching a lot of anime and his standard of beauty is a cartoon with a face of a 12-year-old and the body of a grown woman. He came up to me and asked if I knew that people thought I was beautiful. I told him that a lot of people consider me beautiful and the world didn't end when I was 25. He's been behaving very oddly since, almost incredulous that people find me attractive. I'm offended that he's shocked. How do I get over my husband being shocked that I am considered beautiful? How do I approach him about this and how his question made me feel? Edit, he says they don't look 12 but I'm uninformed because I don't watch anime. Edit 2, he was recently diagnosed with autism and ADHD. He said that he didn't realize he was engaging in an emotional affair with his coworker until she kissed him because he doesn't understand social cues. He was flattered initially because he never thought anyone besides me would want him, but he told me after a few days because the guilt was too much. Next story. My 35M partner, 34F, cheated and ran off with the new guy, 31M, and now has issues keeping a roof over her head. Hello everyone. Writing this on mobile, please forgive formatting errors. I was in a decade-long relationship with the person mentioned in the title. We have a child together who is in first grade. Recently, I discovered she was siphoning from our daughter's money I would put away every month, school fees and savings, as well as using her salary to fund expensive hotel and guesthouse stays with one of her employees under the guise of work. I called her out on this as soon as I'd found out, and her new guy's reaction was to send people to my house. She gave him the address, I would later find out, to clean up everybody living in it, for lack of better terms. I wouldn't include this if not a necessary part of the story. Please forgive if it treads any lines with the sub-rules. Her reaction to that? I antagonized him by confronting her, so no foul in her book. I am blowing it out of proportion despite multiple voice notes and text messages. I kicked her out of the house due to obvious danger in this, and her new guy cannot help her with a place to stay. Without giving too much away, she earns less than half of what I do and he earns a quarter of what she does. She's currently couch surfing around her friends/relatives' places while he allegedly lives with his mother in a studio apartment. Recently, she's contacted me to ask me to co-sign on a lease with her as she doesn't have any other options, and while I want to help her because I care about her, I also feel she has made her own bed and should lay in it alone, or with that guy. The consequence of all this up and down is that legally, he's not allowed anywhere near our daughter anymore, so the two of them moving in together would likely mean she cannot see our daughter anywhere that isn't neutral ground because I don't want her at my place. She knows this, and this is partially why she asked for my help, as if the other guy signs with her, he will want to move in with her. Should I feel bad and help her out? Should I tell her this is her doing and leave her to her own devices? Terribly conflicted. What do I do, guys? Update. Thank you for your advice, everyone. There are simply too many comments to respond to them all. I have a small update to share with you. I'll make a full-blown post probably a week or so from now, depending on how things go. My now ex has voluntarily checked into a shelter/home for women whose lives have come off the rails tonight, and after speaking with them, they've assured me that she is indeed there tonight and that they test for drugs as part of the admission process and as part of the ongoing board/lodging requirements. It warms my heart somewhat that she understands that she needs help. This covers the roof over her head temporarily and makes sure she is on the straight and narrow for the next little while. I think it may be too late to salvage our relationship and trust, but I wish her the best in recovery. Lastly, someone here has reached out to me who knows me in real life, as this story is a big deal in my local community. They've pointed out that the AP/junkie/whatever is indeed among the comments here, and I hope he too is learning from the responses of others about being a decent human being. Thank you, everyone. Next story. My 19F girlfriend, 24F, has been refusing to talk to me after I slept with my friend, 20M. What should I do? I met my girlfriend, Amber, through my sister since she was a friend of hers, and we've been dating for 2 years. I'm bi, and she's a lesbian. 6 months ago, we opened up our relationship since there were just some desires we couldn't fulfill for each other. Amber was the one who first brought up, and though I was a bit reluctant due to the horror stories I've seen, eventually agreed and discussed the details at great length with a bit of online research. From the few sexual encounters I did have, they were all women. Amber got partners way more quickly than I did, but to be fair, I didn't have people who already expressed interest in the past and were still interested by the time our relationship was open. Our own sex life slowly dwindled, and though I was expecting it from what I've read online, it was still disappointing. Yesterday, I had a few friends come over to my apartment to eat some weed brownies I had gotten. About an hour in, 2 of them had went home, which left me and my close friend, Luke, alone. We eventually went into my bedroom, where we were watching TV and just shooting the crap. Somehow, I ended up on the topic of Amber and I's sex life, saying that I really missed her eating me out. Once I said that, Luke offered to eat me out, and in my weed-addled brain, I thought, why not, our friends aren't off limits, and I agreed to let him do it. You don't need all the details to figure out what happened from the title of this post alone. Shortly after, Luke had left and I read out the rest of my high alone. As I sobered up, I began to feel guilty about what I did and asked Amber to come over. Once Amber had came to my apartment, I immediately told her what happened, since transparency about who we hook up with is one of our rules. Amber was pissed. She started going on a rant about how she couldn't believe that I let a man touch like that Luke was trying to steal me from her, and that I was going to leave her for Luke or another one of my guy friends. To be clear, there was no rule or agreement that I couldn't have sex with men, and Amber never brought up any worries about Luke or any other man I hung out with. I tried to calm her down, but she wasn't having it, and eventually left my apartment, slamming the door so hard that one of my plants fell over because of it. Now, she's been giving the silent treatment and refusing to answer any of my texts or phone calls. What can I do to reassure of her worries once she finally talks to me? I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.